Welcome to our team meeting for August 6th. This is our first official Be Brave team meeting for August, which is pretty cool. Thank you guys all for being on. I am going to share my screen and get started. Let me pull that up before I share my screen. Come on. Why do I always struggle with starting the slideshow? Okay. So tonight I just wanted to take a second to talk about social media language and like social media posting. And this is just something, and the reason I want to share about it is because it's something that I have evolved with over time, and I will show you guys examples of that. But the words you use, the vibe you're putting out, like they're so important, as well as like the pictures and things that you're choosing to share. So I'm going to go into a lot of stuff. If you have any questions, you can always type into the chat, or just wait to the end, and I will go over them. So the point of what we're trying to do is like curiosity attraction marketing. So your post should be to create curiosity around what you're doing and to attract like your tribe, get people coming to you versus going somewhere else. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, but your voice is going to attract your type of people. So often I hear coaches that are like, I'm not attracting the right type of people. I'm not attracting people like me. And that has a huge like deal to do with the word usage, like the words that we're putting out there on social media, the words we're using to describe things, and also like what we're talking about with different parts of the opportunity, like with coaching and things like that. So I'm going to go into all of that. First thing that I want to talk about is when you are posting about your workout programs, Beachbody On Demand, word usage. So I'm going to do a lot of examples with like language. And once again, like don't take any of this personally. Don't use it if you don't want to. These are things that I have personally found that work better for me and for other coaches who I deem successful, and what I have just learned over time. So I'm going to use Lift 4 for a lot of our examples tonight. But when you're talking about the program you're doing, don't name drop programs, whether you're doing Lift 4, 80-day obsession, etc. When you post like day 1 of Lift 4, nobody knows what you're talking about. Like nobody knows what Lift 4 is. And if they do, they're either already a coach or they're already a challenger working with another coach or like somebody like that, right? Like the chances are that someone's going to see that and want to do that with you that doesn't already have a coach or like something like that are very, very slim. So talking about like just creating excitement around like the new program I'm getting ready to start. You can even say like the new HIIT program, talk about, it being like a lifting program versus a lifting and cardio geared program, using those type of things to get people curious. And even if like you have people, your challengers and stuff who follow you obviously on social media, if you say like, I tried out, so for instance, on like Wednesdays and Saturdays and Sundays, I do different workouts. So I'll do like maybe a modified Shanti workout. So I'll say like, scrolled my Netflix of workouts, which we'll talk about, chose a low impact cardio today. I don't say what program it is, and people will comment and say like, oh, what program or what workout is this? For one, the more you build that curiosity and get people commenting, liking, asking questions on your post, the more your post is going to be seen by other people. So when people ask you like, oh, what workout is that? You can answer it, or you can shoot them a message and answer it, or say like, I'm going to shoot you a message and we can chat. A lot of times I will just say like, oh, Ashanti, if I know it's like one of my challengers or something. If it's someone who's brand new that I don't know and I look at their their page real quick and they don't look like a coach or look like a challenger, I might say like, oh, it's one of our Beachbody programs or something like that. Or I'll say, I'll shoot you a message. But the more curiosity you can pique, the more conversation you're going to get out of it. And the more like, it's going to cause your post to be seen by getting that conversation on your post. As well as when you're sharing, like talking about your program. So this is something I see a lot, and I'm just going to share real quick because I did this huge when I first, stop it. Okay. Where'd my little button go? Hold on. You guys, this is why I should have put these on the slides. When I first started coaching, I would post like the name of the program, like right here, and things like that. And you have to remember that people aren't going to know what those programs are. And if you are just posting the name of the program, what are they going to do? They can Google it. They can go on Amazon and look for it. They can go on eBay and look for it. They can Google it and go to Beachbody and order it through another Beachbody coach that is not you. Don't post like the name of the program on your pictures, and don't post like the promos for the programs. I saw so many people, and I'm not like saying anything negative. If you want to do this, that's on you. But I saw so many people when Lift 4 went back on sale this month, throw up the promo on their page or, you know, in their stories and be like, Lift 4 is on sale again this month. Like, who's ready to join me? The people who you want paying attention to those things don't know what Lift 4 is. You can create curiosity by saying, like, the program I'm doing is still on sale this month. I'm so excited to get more people started with it. So just change your language to create that curiosity. Same with your trainers. And this is a big one, and I'm not going to lie, like, every time I see it, I'm like, ah. So when you are talking about, like, your trainers and stuff, nobody in the regular world knows who Joel is. Joel could walk down our street and not a single neighbor would like fangirl. He could walk in our mall and probably 10% of the people shopping, maybe not even that, 1% of the people shopping would know who he is. Posting a picture of Joel, except to say, like, you know, this is who I get to look at or something like that. But like posting a picture of Joel and being like, he killed me today or something, you know, like people don't know who these people are. You know, Shaun T, Tony Horton, they're a little bit, their faces are a little bit more familiar. But even like name dropping, like Joel kicked my butt today, when you put a post up, like people are going to be like, who the hell is Joel? And that's creating curiosity, but it's creating like confusion curiosity. Like, that's not the type of curiosity you want to be creating. So talk about like your virtual trainer. Talk about like the trainer in your like guest bedroom or living room. Like create that curiosity. Talk about how these people are helping you work out from in your home. But just don't name drop. Same thing. And once again, not calling anyone out. I saw a lot of people really excited that Joel's wife's been liking their post, and they'll like throw up in their Insta story and circle it. Nobody knows who she is. And if they don't know who Joel is, they sure as hell don't know who she is. So like showing her isn't going to do anything for you. Like you can say like, how cool is it that my virtual trainer like shouted me out today, or like, you know, something like that. But just throwing up Joel's name or throwing out things like that, like people don't know what that is. Same thing with Super Trainer. And this, Jacqueline and I were talking, she just asked me to critique one of her posts last week. So this was just something I'm using from there. She said like, you get to work out with my Super Trainer or something like that. And I was like, would you have known what a Super Trainer was before you had heard of Beachbody? So think about that, like get in that mindset. Would I have known what this is before I even knew what Beachbody was? We want to be using language that non-Beachbody people can relate to and understand. So once again, like my virtual trainers versus like my Super Trainer worked me out today. People are going to be like, what the heck is a Super Trainer? Like that's not a common term that is used that people are going to be able to recognize. Beachbody on Demand. So one thing that I will say is I try to be very minimal with the use of Beachbody on my page anywhere. Only because I'm not ashamed of what I do. I love it. It makes me income. Like I get to work every day doing something I love. But when people see the word Beachbody, they automatically think you're trying to sell them something and they're going to check out. Okay? So, you know, my Netflix of workouts, my online fitness library versus saying like Beachbody on Demand. So instead of like writing up a post today on Wednesday and saying, I scrolled through Beachbody On Demand today and tried blah, 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 use words that are relatable to people, those people that haven't done Beachbody before. Because those are who you're wanting to attract. The people who already know what Beachbody On Demand is are going to know what you're talking about. So you don't need to worry about them not understanding. You want the people who you haven't helped yet to understand what you're talking about. When you're sharing your workouts, sharing clips of your workouts is good. Sharing moves of your workouts is good. Be careful about how much you're sharing. I have seen people pretty much share their entire workout, like through live or, through like their Insta stories and stuff like that. You want to create curiosity. I don't want to give somebody the complete program. I want to give them a taste of the program. So maybe they try 2 or 3 of the moves that I'm doing and they're like, whoa, that worked. I wonder what else there is. I don't want to give them the entire workout to do so that they can do it on their own or, Google, I was going to say Yahoo, Google or YouTube, like similar moves and find something else to do. I want to create that curiosity. So share, little clips maybe added together, sharing like a move or 2, but not sharing like your entire workout. Not even writing out like the entire workout. I did this and then this and then this and then this. Like you're giving them the at-home workout for free. Like they don't need you if you're doing that. Your meals and your meal plans. Once again, your language. I don't ever say like 21-day fix meal plan. I don't ever say things like that. You can use like portion control, my portion control meal plan, or if you're doing 2B mindset, my more relaxed meal plan that, veggies most and things like that. You can use words, terminology that are going to relate to people. Another thing I see is when people are trying to come up with post ideas, they'll throw up a recipe. Awesome. I get a ton of attention from sharing healthy recipes. That's a really big part of my brand is that I love to meal plan. I love to find healthy ways to, meet Travis's cravings and things like that. But a big piece of why that's successful for me is because I share a story behind it. I share about how Travis hates vegetables and we're trying to sneak him in. I share how the meals work really, really good for him while he's working as a UPS driver and he needs something quick to go. I'm always sharing like a story behind the recipe. And sometimes, going with not sharing the recipe versus sharing. Sometimes I share the recipe and sometimes I don't. I try to not share like a recipe every day anymore. Once again, these are learning from things I have done. So I am not perfect. I am constantly learning and I just want to help you guys not make the same mistakes I have. I will share a recipe, maybe once a week. Other times I'm putting up like a yummy recipe I made and then just talking about it. So people are like, oh, what's the recipe? What's the recipe? What's the recipe? And I'll say like, I'll shoot you a message. If they're one of my challengers, I will purposely say, hey, it's on your Beachbody On Demand, blah, 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 blah. So then when people are looking through the comments, they're like, oh, like that's something her challengers, like the people who are working with her are given. Like how cool is that they get all these recipes already? And sharing like your photos of your food versus sharing like Beachbody stock photos. Some of the Beachbody stock photos are going to be prettier. Like that's just how it is. But this is realistic. Like I don't want to throw up a photo that Beachbody made and pretend it's mine because that's not realistic for most people. My plate is messy. I do, really try to get good angles and make sure I always do it on white plates for like, I make them eye-catching and appealing. But I want people to see that like if I can make this, they can make it. I don't want it to look like some like perfect thing that isn't appealing to or them or like they make it and it look nothing like. How many times have we made a recipe off of like Pinterest or somewhere and it may taste good. It does not look like what the picture for it did. So just sharing your things. Same with like going back to sharing the promos, sharing pictures of you doing a workout move or doing, talking about like your progress with a program is going to get so much more attention than sharing like a stock photo of something. Okay. So with your Insta stories, and let me just share, never mind. I'll wait to share that. Okay. with your Insta stories. Let me go to slideshow just so it's bigger. Okay. Your workout clips. Once again, I would limit your workout clips, like your workout moves, to like 3 or 4. And this is just my personal opinion. When I am scrolling through someone's Instagram and I get to like 2 or 3, I'm normally, and I see that there's a lot more, I normally just start going. Like, I don't pay attention. Our attention spans aren't that long to like keep it with those things sometimes. So I would keep it at like 3 or 4 if you're utilizing your Insta stories. Let me back up a little bit. Insta stories are where it's at to show all of the things, like all of the behind the scene things, all of like your workouts, your community, your like meals, things like that. This is a great place to do it, that you don't have to be so worried about like how your post looks and things like that, because these are like quick snapshots into your life. So let me say that first. But with your workout clips, limit the number of them, and don't just share yourself working out. I think what's really powerful, if you're sharing tips while you're working out, like say you needed to focus on keeping your elbows in during today's tricep push-up thing, tricep whatever, raises. I can't remember what they're called. You could put a little thing in there. If you try this move, like make sure you keep your elbows tucked in. Share the moves that you really struggled with. If you can share something that was hard for you, people are going to relate to that so much more than if you get on and can do 100 push-ups. Some of them are going to think that's really cool, and some people are going to look at that and be like, well, I can't do that. And they're just going to get frustrated or be like, I don't even want to look at that. So sharing things like that, sharing your victories, say you got through a full round of tricep push-ups today on your toes, like all 3 rounds, like sharing those things with your workout clips are going to keep people's attention. And just like I said, not giving the whole workout, I put in today like that, my chest and tricep workout, it was 8 moves, 10 reps, 3 rounds. I am not telling them what all the moves are. I showed them a chest move, a tricep move, and then I showed the burnout because that was just ridiculous. And then I showed them like a core move. So I'm only showing them pieces to build that curiosity. When Insta stories are also such a good way to show inside the community of our like coaching page, of your challenge groups, being a part of our miracle mornings, and like in the morning from 5 to 11, where you can hop on and be just on with like a ton of other people in the Shred Nation Fit Fam that are working out and working, is a great way. Those are so awesome in my Insta stories. I get messages all the time from people who are like, ooh, like I want to be a part of that. I need that accountability. So just for one, being on them is huge. And 2, like being able to show like our Fit Fam with your Insta story is huge. It's also, Insta stories are such a good way to show like sneak peeks into your challenge groups, and show like victory, show like everybody wearing pink on Wednesday, like showing those snippets that would be really hard to post about or wouldn't necessarily be like a very valuable post. They have a lot of value in your Insta stories. Make sure your use of hashtags is relevant and makes sense and is attracting people to you. I personally don't hashtag Beachbody. I don't hashtag Lift4. I don't hashtag those things. I've seen successful coaches hashtag Lift4, so I'm not downing it. But I just, when even in hashtagging in your Insta stories, remember that you're wanting to hashtag something that people could potentially search for to find you. So my hashtags are like Charlottesville, Virginia, chest workout, at-home workouts, like things like that, that maybe someone who is looking to visit Charlottesville will search Charlottesville in their Instagram, and like that will pop up and get them to follow me. So just be really like using cute hashtags that make like ain't no one got time for that. Like stuff like that is cute to do every once in a while, but to do that consistently on your post, like it's not helping you to do that, if that makes sense. Utilizing polls are huge. Posting workouts and then saying like, you want to join me, posting those like snippets into your challenge groups and then saying, are you ready to join us? Like things like that. Your Insta stories are a great time to show like a piece of your workout calendar. I love like seeing people like check off with the boomerang, like checked off their workout, showing the equipment needed. So once again, these are sneak peeks into your life, into your workout. It's so cool to be able to show like your workout space and, say you live in an apartment that's really small, and I get from people like, well, I don't think I have room to do them at home. And I say like, can you move a step side to side? Yes, you can do the workouts at home. So when you're working out in a small space, like showing that small space, showing the equipment needed. I like will take a picture of the resistance bands, take a picture of like my weights and things like that, or utilize them in my Insta story, so that once again, it's building curiosity. I get questions about my weights all the time, starting new conversations with people about them. I get questions about like my workout space, things like that. When I'm traveling and I'm doing Beachbody on Demand, that's always a great way to show that we can do it anywhere. And I'm going to make sure I talk about that in my Insta stories. And another thing that I think Insta stories are great for is sharing your meals. Last Wednesday, I did like what I ate Wednesday, and I shared everything I ate throughout the day. That is not something I would do every day, because personally, if I were following you and you did that every day, I would start scrolling through them. But I think if you do it sporadically, it can be cool. And it's such a good way, like, to just show exactly how much food we're eating and even to highlight items that you love. Let me look at the chat real quick. Caitlin said, do you have suggestions for getting people to respond to the polls? I'll post them about anything, not just fitness related, and I get 0 responses. Or do you suggest I just stop doing them? Emma said, I have the same issues at times. I stopped, though it will probably pick back up as we get closer to the year. I'm not sure. Okay, so for one, I think looking at your options on your polls, like what your things are. I don't ever put anything like negative on my polls anymore. Yes, Jennifer, I saw, so Jennifer said that she put a food poll last weekend on like what her cheat meal should be, pancakes or French toast. So honestly, the polls that I have the most success with have nothing to do with fitness. Like if I ask like, should I cut my hair? Should I do this? The cheat meal, like people want to give their opinions. I can't tell you why nobody is responding to your polls. It could be that people aren't seeing. Maybe, I don't know if you guys have your accounts on private. That's a big thing. And also like how many followers you have are going to be in there looking at your stories. But I would keep playing around with them. There has to be something that is going to get people wanting to like vote. Like people love giving their opinions on things. So I wouldn't stop doing them. I mean, nobody knows if nobody answers. You're the only one that knows that. So it's not hurting you to put it up. I mean, what is it, wasting a half a second to throw it up and nobody respond? I've definitely put polls up where I've gotten 0 response. And I definitely play with like the time of the day I do them, where I put the options so that make sure they're being seen and not making sure they're where people can just scroll. Because a lot of times if you put them in like the bottom right, people are just scrolling and they'll accidentally hit it. But I wouldn't stop doing them. Oh yeah, Mallory said, I find people love to give opinions on stuff for my kids. People love to give opinions on kids, period. Okay, so challenge groups. This is another big thing that I had to learn. So your social media language when you're talking about a challenge group. People don't know what a challenge group is, and a challenge group can sound intimidating to people. So think about the word usage, like just think about what sounds like what you're trying to attract. I personally, a lot of times do like my monthly fitness accountability group or my virtual accountability group. I use that terminology a lot because it tends to get people like, oh, I want accountability. Oh, it's virtual, so it's like online, or I say online. I know Michelle says her boot camp and like our online boot camp, and a ton of people, like she gets a good response to that. If boot camp isn't your word, like find your word. But challenge group, once again, with this, you're trying to set yourself apart from all the other Beachbody coaches out there. So find your language, like find your thing that you can call it, that's going to create curiosity and that's going to be different from other people. when you are posting your call to actions, I have found, and this took way too long for me to realize, but if I if I take time to come up with the name for my monthly group and come up with a real, create a fancy post for it, I get so much less interaction than if I throw up a transformation and do a call to action at the bottom of that. We want to catch people's attention. My transformation catches a lot more attention than this, because this looks like an ad. This looks like I'm trying to sign you up for something. Yes, I want them to join me, and that's in both of the posts, but I want them to stop and read it first. I want them to hear my story. I want them to relate to my story. And then at the end, when I say, if this sounds like you, reach out to me, they've already read it. So they might scroll then. But with this, I wouldn't even get people to read it. Like, I had so many less people like signing up when I was doing these. Nothing wrong if you're doing them. I did them for 3 years and I'm just not doing them anymore. I also found that I wasted so much time. I cannot even tell you guys how stressed I would be about coming up with like my next month's challenge group name. And like, I've got to come up with a fun promo for it. And like, how am I going to do this? And I would stress out so much about these things. And I'm like, dude, all I have to talk about is my next group coming up and like post my story with it. I get so much more attention with that. And posting challenger recognition in your Insta stories or on your social media, shouting out a challenger and then doing a call to action or something at the bottom of that is such a good way too, to show other people's results besides you, like people that are just like them that have hopped in your group and seen results. So once again, just to show that I'm not perfect. Oh, okay. You cannot minimize, it said. Hold on. Okay, I'll just show you guys after all my bad examples. Okay, Shakeology and supplements. This is huge. Social media language. Talking about like your Shakeology, calling it like superfoods or your protein shake or something like that versus calling it Shakeology. People hear Shakeology and they think, oh, she's trying to sell me something. Even when people hear shake, they think she's trying to sell me something. So I am very, very like specific about the word usage that I put out there. Same with your Energize. Come up with another name for it. You can call it a pre-workout if you want, that's totally fine. But people don't know what Energize is. Like if you're saying like drinking my Energize, what is Energize? Like what is that? It sounds like something with energy, but making a fun name for it or, critique, like finding your word for it is going to get so much more attention. So just for like, these are 2 posts I did, like, and these aren't posts about Shakeology or about Energize. Like I try not to do posts about them either. I try to breadcrumb those into my everyday life so people can see them. So like candles burning, superfoods, and water in hand. I was hopping on calls with my coaches. So like I have my Shakeology over here. I've got my water. And it's just breadcrumbing in there. This one was while I was headed to the softball field, sleepy eyes, food, tons of water, liquid gold. When I'm riding the struggle bus later, I'm ready for a day on the ball field. Like I am showing how these things fit into my life. I'm showing that I use them and I'm a product of the product. So then when I tell somebody that Shakeology is included in their like challenge pack to join my group, they're not like, well, I don't see you drinking that, or like, what is that? They don't have any questions because I'm always like breadcrumbing them into my post. Once again, sharing recipes, sharing like a Shakeology recipe. And when I do that, I don't even put Shakeology as like one of the ingredients. If I share the recipe, I'll say like vegan vanilla protein powder. I use Shakeology or something like that in the parentheses, because I don't want people to just see the Shakeology and get taken off. And when you're talking about these things, it's totally fine to throw up a post about Shakeology, energy, Energize, beach bars, recover, blah, blah, blah. But talk about the benefits. Once again, your story is what people are buying. You are what you're trying to sell to somebody, right? They can go anywhere and get Shakeology. Like they can order it off of eBay or anything like that. You want them signing up with you for a reason. You want them relating to you. So when I talk about Shakeology, I'm talking about why I drink it or like how it fits into my life. Talk about the benefits, if it's helped your digestive system, if it's giving you energy, like talk about things like that. Same with the Energize. You're posting about like your Recover, same thing. Beach bars, how do they fit into your life? So, you know, I just did this last week on like the What I'm Eating Wednesday on my Instagram. I showed like a sneak peek into Travis's lunchbox, and I just like have a beach bar there. I have Daily Sunshine. So I show that we drink these things. We eat these things. Like they are a part of our everyday life. And, you know, I will say there's a difference. Hold on a second. I'm parched. Sorry. There's a difference like in how you present them in your Insta stories versus your post. I can very much like do a boomerang or something in the morning, like get my energy juice in like before my workout. I'm not going to post necessarily of me smiling next to my Energizer, me smiling next to my Shakeology. When I did my What Are You Eating Wednesday, one of my meals was Shakeology. So I said meal number 2, superfoods. Like I will do that in my Insta stories before I'll do that in my post because it fits in your Insta stories, right? Like that makes sense. Stuff that's on your social media needs to be more tailored. It needs to be more put together. It needs to add value. So you're going to talk about the story behind the Shakeology versus I'm drinking my Shako. Does that make sense? I can't see any of you, so hopefully it makes sense. In coaching, so this is a big one that I want to focus on for a second. Social media language. Talking. So remember, have an idea of what you're trying to attract. Are you trying to attract discount coaches? Are you trying to attract business builders? Those things, what you're trying to attract, should play a huge part in the language that you use. So if you want people that want to be a part of something bigger, you know, you're going to talk about your fit fam. You know, I don't say like, I'm, you know, getting together with my coaches, or, you know, I might say that sometimes, but I'm more inclined to say like, you know, hanging out with my fit fam and things like that, because I want people to know that like when they're a part of this, they're a part of our family. Like we are so close. Our team is built that way that we are like a family. And I want people to get that feel. Using the words we versus me. And this is something that I think is a big change in your language. When you talk about your team and how you guys are working towards a goal, working towards elite, working towards things, and you say like, this is a huge goal for me this year, that looks very different than saying like, we are working on this team goal together. Once again, what are you trying to attract? Are you trying to attract a ton of people who are focused on them and their own businesses and don't want to be a part of anything else? Or are you trying to attract people who want to work with you to accomplish something? Very different things. Another thing, this was something that was stressed to us so much at Summit, and it was just such a like eye-opener for me. Talking about work. If you are wanting to attract something other than discount coaches, don't just talk about like all the willy-frilly-nilly things about coaching. Like, yes, there are awesome parts that we get to shop like with a discount and that we get to hang out with our fit fam. But if you want to attract business builders, you also need to talk about like that you work hard for what you get and that you were able to retire yourself from corporate America because you put in the work to do it. They talked about at Summit how like we all throw up these posts about like coaching's so easy, it's for everybody, like come join us. And then when these people join us, we are like, why won't they work? Why do they think it's going to be so easy? Why do they think they're going to see instant success? Because that's what we are putting out there. You know, I am quick to say like there is potential here if you are ready to work for it. Like I don't want someone coming in thinking this is a get rich scheme. I don't want someone thinking that they can never have done Beachbody and don't drink Shakeology and will see instant success, because you need to be a proof of the products. Like I want people who know that like, oh yeah, I do love Beachbody and I'm willing to work for my goals. Just when you're talking about like if you're Insta storying or talking about like our national wake up call, No one, once again, no one knows what a national wake-up call is. It's not national. I mean, it's national, but like people outside of Beachbody don't hop on it. Like that doesn't make sense to them. So like a business-wide training or like a national, business training or like something like that, but not calling it the national wake-up call. Like change your verbiage for like names of things. Our team call tonight, maybe you want to say like hopping on a training with my team versus saying hopping on our team call. What's a team call? You might create that curiosity, but you're also going to create like business builders and things like that by saying like, I'm hopping on a training. This is part of my work is, getting to learn from one of our coaches and things like that. And this is another thing. We call our sneak peeks happy hours, but rarely do I say like, hey, come join our happy hour. I want to talk about how it's a coaching sneak peek. I want to talk about how it's like an interest session. If you're only saying happy hour and not explaining what a happy hour is, that's very confusing to people. They're probably like, oh, are you guys like all going to a bar or something? Like, do coaches do that? Like, it's confusing for people. So just be aware of your language. Call to actions. Once again, like sharing, when you're sharing pictures, sharing like make your call to actions very like eye-catching, appealing. There's so many different ways to do call to actions, but once again, what are you trying to attract? Your verbiage needs to be focused on the type of business you're trying to work for right now. If you're trying to sign up a bunch of discount coaches, cool. Talk about the discount and talk about those type of things. If you are looking for working people, it is totally fine to say like, our team is working towards a really big goal together this month. I am looking for, 5 new women that want to be mentored and taught how to reach their goals, like blah, 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 things like that. It's totally cool to do that. You're going to get some interest with people who are ready to build. Sharing your story. Once again, like instead of just throwing up a ton of like call to actions for sneak peeks or call to actions to coaching, like, hey, come join me. If you share your story about where you were before coaching and how you are now with coaching, what has coaching like brought to you, that is going to relate to so many more people. When I share my story, I'm able to say like, I built this business while being in grad school, while planning a wedding, while working full time, versus just saying like, hey, I'm looking for 5, business people who are ready. So it's just different approaches to it. And I think using a good mix of them is right. But sharing your story is always going to be what people can relate to more. And then just remember what you're looking for, discount versus working. When you're sharing your breadcrumbs, I definitely recommend sharing at least like a coaching breadcrumb, like every other day. If you're not ever talking about coaching, you're not going to sign coaches. It's totally cool to advertise for your challenge groups every month and things like that. I've got hair like just blowing. But if you're never talking about coaching, do people even know that they can sign up with you? Like, do people even know that that's an option? Like, probably not. So you need to be breadcrumbing those things. You can breadcrumb about your income. You don't have to be making $1 million to breadcrumb about your income. What did your $14 check? What did your $40 check this week do for you? What are your goals in this business? You can breadcrumb that. Like, I joined this opportunity and now like my future is so bright. I'm writing out all these goals that I never had the courage to do before. Like, that's inspiring. You can share like what a day in the life of a coach looks like, what working looks like. When I was working full time, I was constantly sharing like, I'm in my car between clients, checking in on my challengers and things like that. I wanted to share that people can literally coach from anywhere and that you can fit it into those pockets of time. Breadcrumbing about the Fit Fam and how, you do a Woman Crush Wednesday on one of our coaches and share their transformation and talk about how you met her through social media and being a part of your Fit Fam, things like that. Whenever you are talking about like income or anything like that, remember to use the disclaimer in your post. And then recognition is a great way to talk about coaching as well. There isn't really a great way to post recognition without using Beachbody language. So I think, it's okay to say in it, like, some of you not in the Beachbody world won't know what this means, but this is a huge deal that Christy went 1 star, because that was the last one I did in my head. That Christy accomplished this, Christy and her team accomplished this huge goal. Recognition is a great way, for one, to help you show people what's possible and what your mentorship can help happen. And it's also a great way to get attention to your coaches, because if you want to be successful, your coaches need to be successful. So shouting them out and things like that are only going to do good things for you. Okay. Let me share all of my bad examples so you guys can look. So this was another thing. I cannot stand when a before and after is backwards. A before needs to be on this side and an after needs to be on this side. Lesson learned. And just look at, you guys will see how much my posts have changed over the years. This was something I posted back for. The quality of the photo is crap. There's so much writing. I'm posting about Shakeology written on it. These are learning. So I just want to show you guys that we all start somewhere, so I'm not judging anyone. I just want you guys to learn. Talking about a sneak peek, this is going to get so much less attention than me just posting a picture of myself. This was a call to action for a challenge group that I did. This was a call to action for a coaching sneak peek that we did. So I just wanted to share bad examples from me so that you guys didn't feel like I was attacking anybody. Because I've got a ton of them. I've got a lot of bad examples. So every time I see one, I'm like, oh, I need to share this with them so they understand. Okay, does anyone have any questions for me? I'm sorry that took longer than I anticipated. That was a lot of info. No questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you were talking about the Transformation Tuesday and stuff like that, I haven't had a huge transformation. The biggest transformation for me has been mentally, has been just in the way that I think. And I've done okay so far for the past few weeks because there has been somewhat of a transformation, but I'm just finding it difficult. And I don't know if maybe I should just reuse some pictures that I've already put out there, or I don't know. I'm just finding that difficult.
I have 5 before pictures that I use, and I just reuse them consistently. I look at my Instagram, see which one hasn't been used for a while, and I use that one. Talking about the mental transformation is huge. Christy, I say always, but I called her out on this last time. Not called out in a good way. She looked freaking amazing when she signed up for Beachbody. Most people would kill to have the body that she had. But so she talks about so a lot of her story is talking about how it helped overcome anxiety. It helped her find a purpose, from work, being a stay-at-home mom. It gave her that. But a lot of it was the mental piece for her. And a lot of our coaches have the same thing. There are super successful coaches in this business. I don't know if you've ever followed Brittany Miracle. That girl eats a cheeseburger. Mm-hmm. She looks like she gained 100 pounds. She works out one day and she has a 6-pack. She doesn't have a crazy transformation. And she'll actually tell you her 6-pack does more harm than good for her business-wise. So it's just sharing who you are, because you're going to attract people like you. You don't have to have lost 100 pounds. You don't have to have lost all of these things, but you have transformed. Your confidence has built a ton just by the fact of you're posting on social media.
Yeah, tell me about that one. I know.
And those are the things you have to talk about, because that's what people are going to relate to. How many times did you look at our post or my post and say, I would never post something like that?
Too many.
Other people are looking at your post and saying, oh, she is so brave. I would never post something like that. Sharing that stuff is huge. Don't discount the transformation you've had, because you've transformed in so many ways.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
with that, I've gotten so many more people following up with me about like breaking my foot and not really being able to work out. And so being able to reach out to people like, you can still have a transformation even though it might not be physical. And even though, you know, change that much, or things like that, I got a lot more reach outs from like physical transformations from being in like a cast versus not in a cast recently than being like thinner or more strong or things like that.
Yeah, and that's a huge point. And first of all, just showing where you're at in your journey and the fact of like what you're doing is huge. And Jesse made a good point. Hold on a second. I have to text Travis. Jesse made a good point in the chat about sharing other people on this team's transformations. Sorry. Okay. This is what we're here for. Like, you can shout out other coaches, shout out challengers, shout out, you know, different things like that. I've never had a baby. So when I want to talk to moms, I'm going to say, like, look at all these moms who are on their postpartum journey. Look at Christy who's pregnant doing these workouts. Now tell me you can't do this workout. Like, I shout them out all the time. So you can definitely talk about other people's transformations too. And in your Insta stories is a really cool way to do that, because you can scroll through our challenge group and be like, look at this mom working out with her baby, like crawling at her feet. And look at this mom who's like pregnant doing it. So there's definitely other ways that you can work towards those things. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not related to transformations and all that, but the polls on Instagram and stuff, I have yet to pick a team name just because I'm awful at that type of stuff, like one word to represent me, whatever. But I thought it would be cool, and I didn't know if like this was the area we shouldn't put on social media, but I was going to put like the Instagram stories, like the question, and my question be, what should my team name be? And then let people like write in, and maybe like have an incentive for people writing in. Is that like, because I guess I would have to preface that with like what my team is, like my coaches and my girls and stuff. But yeah, is that something you wouldn't share?
No, I mean, I talk about like our team name and stuff like that all the time. You know, I think you have to talk about like what a team name is, because if I just got on my social media and said, without any ever talking about it, and said like, be brave, kicks ass, or sorry, I forget there's babies, kicks booty, like people would be like, what is be brave? Like, what is that? So, you know, prefacing it, I think it's great. And another thing I'm going to say is, do not stress about a team name, because it will come to you. Most people don't even start a team page or have a team name until they hit diamond. And then even then, I always tell my coaches, like, team names are overrated. Like, you don't need something to represent, like it's something you're going to feel. Like, you are literally going to be doing something one day, or like working with a challenger, working with one of your coaches, and it's going to hit you, and you're going to be like, oh, that's it. Like, that is my inspiration. So definitely don't stress about it. I mean, but another thing is, you can put polls up and ask questions like that and not give a crap what people say. Like, not in a mean way, but like, you could totally put it up there just to start conversations. And, you know, I think that's a great way to talk with people about coaching too.
Yeah, I mean, it just came up because my last coach said I signed, she had already seen another team and their team name, and she was like, what is our team name? And I was like, so I don't know.
Well, you're in Team Be Brave, you're a part of Team Shred Nation, like, you're a part of a lot of teams that you could tell people.
I mentioned all that, and that, like, when I added her to the page, but I just didn't know.
Yeah, I think, and using that questions tab is cool. No one ever no one ever responds to that on mine. That I know Caitlin and who else said that? Emma said that no one ever answers her phone. No one ever does any questions for me. Like, I had to ask Bethany one day to go do questions so I could like answer something and feel cool. So don't feel uncomfortable if people don't respond to your things. Mallory.
Then they're done that. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Mallory said, total side note, would anyone be interested in doing a miracle afternoon, it would be morning for me, but I love the accountability for anyone who maybe wants to work out in the afternoon. So if you guys don't know, Mallory is 13 hours ahead of us. So it is almost 9 a.m. there. I'm getting really good at this. So if anybody doesn't work, so that's another option. If you guys can't participate in our like 5 to 11-ish a.m. Miracle Morning, you can always jump on with somebody else later in the afternoon or evenings. Any other questions?